All right, welcome everyone to the Michigan City Park Board meeting of Wednesday, March 16th. If you can please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with justice for all.
Thank you. And Shannon, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Latchford?
Here.
Mr. Freeze?
Here.
Mr. Lang?
Here.
Mrs. Sperling? Here.
All right, the minutes from our previous meeting of March 2nd were prepared and distributed prior to the meeting. Unless there are any changes or corrections, we have a motion to approve.
I move we accept the minutes as printed.
I will second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Any project updates or old business?
No, sir.
Thank you. Table business. Do I have a motion to remove the youth baseball director job description off the table?
I would move that we take the youth league director off of the table.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
All right.
Good evening. This is a job description for the Youth League Director. There was a job description in the community drive that I found that was not complete, so I thought I would take the Adult League Director job description, delete a few items, and then add the pertinent items from the existing Youth League Director job description. Very few changes were made on the Adult League Director. Obviously, you can see here the scheduling and qualifying officials was deleted. So the director will not have to do that.
Thank you, Ed. Any questions or comments? Who does schedule the qualified officials for the program?
Actually, there is an umpire in charge named Kerry Kraczynski, and Kerry can take care of that.
Thank you. If there are no questions or comments, do you have any questions from the public? See none. Do you have a motion to approve the Youth League Director job description?
I would move that we accept the youth league director as printed.
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
All right, that takes us to new business. And first up is the Washington Park Zoo Recycled Art Project. Good evening, welcome.
Thank you. So you guys have the information. We kind of wanted to start.
I know we all know who you are, but.
Jamie Huss, Washburn Zoo.
Thank you very much.
I can forget it right. But we wanted to start an event that kind of get the schools involved and do a partnership and kind of inspire kids to create art and projects that we can display at the zoo the weekend of Earth Day. I think we covered everything about prizes. We also have an online contest for those who can't make it out. But there's no cost to participate. And then the prizes are easy to cover within our budget and our education programming. But we just thought this would be a nice start. Hopefully next year we can go to the Bezic Center and do like a whole week display. This year they were kind of booked, their studio was. But we're just trying to find more things to get the community involved in a partnership with the schools and families, homeschool kids and stuff. So if you have any questions, I think I put most of the details in here. And we'll just kind of change it up next year, what works and doesn't work from that point on.
Fantastic. Thank you. Questions or comments?
I think it sounds really neat what you're doing. How do you communicate with the schools? Do you just communicate with every principal or how?
We have a few contact names, like Marquette School, some art clubs who have done projects in the past, but we'll just kind of do a flyer to the schools and then they kind of distribute how they do it. Facebook is our biggest advertising media nowadays. So we might have a big turnout this year, but hopefully it just kind of picks up the speed and we can eventually take the park over or something and do some projects, some bigger projects.
I think all of us are familiar with some of the professional work that has been done around town with scrap metal and making things. So I'm really excited to see what's, particularly from some of the younger people, to see what is going to come out. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I have two little kids and they're excited about even putting the product in there. So At least we have 2 projects.
And you said it'll be at Lebesnick Art Center for.
No, this year we tried, they were booked up, but they do want to do a partnership in the future.
Yeah.
So this year it'll be at the zoo, next year we're gonna go.
Oh, it'll be displayed at the zoo. you're
Yes,
saying?
yep,
Oh.
yep, in the classroom,
Oh, yeah.
so,
Yeah, cool.
Program.
thank you.
Any questions or comments from the public? If none, what's the pleasure of the board?
I so move that we approve the Earth Day Recycled Art Contest at the Washington Park Zoo.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
All right, staying on the zoo, we have revised job descriptions, organizational chart, and supervision succession plan in front of us. Welcome back.
So this one, we basically, because we're open 7 days a week and we are, a 24-hour operation, basically, we want to make sure that we had somebody on coverage for supervisors in case an inspection, in case an incident, we just want to make sure we have coverage. So that way the staff knew, we try to be as transparent as possible, everything in writing. That way there's no questions. And it's easier to tweak things when you have it in writing and kind of adjust things from the pre to the post of any kind of situation. So Shannon has helped us kind of plan out our days, our schedules, because our rotation schedules, none of us have the same days off ever. So this will kind of help us be organized and update the jobs descriptions that haven't changed since like 2015. So they needed to be updated so everybody knows what's required and that we're compliant.
Thank you. A lot of work went into this. Any questions or comments?
Jamie, I just have one question. On the job description with the train, is there a fee to ride on that? Because at one time I thought it was free, and maybe I'm wrong.
We increased the gate attendance fee and we made the train free. The last 2 years, train has been down, so
Yeah.
the golf course is working on the train, so hoping it will be up by hopefully Memorial Day weekend. Because it just has to go through a music park inspection. But no, the train will remain free.
Oh,
Just
okay.
as extra bonus for the public and the
Got it.
kids.
Okay. Thank
So
you.
just to clarify on that job description, we did add the line when tickets are required, which allows Jamie some flexibility if we do decide to charge again.
Got it.
Mhm.
Oh, thank you. This is a pretty complete description. Wow.
Any other questions or comments? Yeah, again, just to reiterate, my only comment is when you're putting out fires constantly and working behind the 8 ball, you never get a chance to do something like this. So just your level of experience being there, to be able to think about this and tackle it and put in something for cross-training and basically cross-training and taking the time to redo job descriptions, that's just it's a lot of work, and it shows you're not content to just stay with the status quo. And that's refreshing to see. So thank you for taking extra time to do this.
And there's a lot required from the seasonal.
There it is, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, not work to do, but I mean, just their ability to get the job, yeah.
Any questions or comments from the public? Seeing none, do we have a motion to approve the revised job descriptions, org chart, and supervision succession plan?
I so move that we the revised zoo job descriptions, organizational chart, and supervisor succession.
Second.
Is that a second? I'm sorry.
Yeah, second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Well done. Thank you, Jean. All right, next up is the designate internal control signatories or invoices.
So the city controller issued a notice to all city boards and committees that we need to institute a few new internal control methods. One had to do with park board payroll. However, that one didn't apply to your board. You're paid monthly through our board meetings. The second was we are now required, the president of the board or a designee must initial, date, and write the words "okay to pay" on the face of every single invoice that we process. So to keep Bill from coming in here every single day, we're just asking that this board designates assistant superintendent myself and Superintendent Ed Shin to be the designees on the account.
Thank you for that explanation. Any questions or comments? It's basic internal control procedures. Any questions from the public? All right, seeing none, do we have a motion to approve the superintendent and assistant superintendent as designate internal control signatures for invoices?
I would make that motion that we have the superintendent, Mr. Shin, and assistant superintendent, Ms. Eason, as authorized to initial or sign all the invoices.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Shannon, maybe I should have asked this question beforehand, but it's mainly just an administrative matter. What's the process currently? Do the department heads sign off on the invoices?
Depending on their purchasing thresholds. So yes, when they're submitted here, if they're $1,000 or under, for all directors and myself, we can sign off on those datum. We put our account number on it. Anything up to 5,000 under our purchase policy, the superintendent can sign off on. And then everything above that turns into the bids and quotes in our policy. So there'll be 2 signatures on there.
Okay. So I said it's just basic internal control. However, we had internal control procedures in place prior to this. This is just, I guess, taking the scrutiny a little step further.
So I think what's happening is the city council, like mainly Angie Nelson, and the controller are focusing on these smaller boards and commissions, such as the Public Art Committee. Before I started on that committee, you had no one from government that knew how things were supposed to work. So I think that's what they're trying to pull in, is just get some control. Angie Nelson has been doing some great online seminars on payroll, purchasing, Robert's Rules of Orders, how to run meetings. So I've been watching all those, and they're very informative, especially for these smaller boards.
Good.
Because a lot of them have no one from government. They don't know what the open law door is. They don't know how to post an agenda, and they don't know how to process their spending.
Very good.
But it was issued to everyone across the board.
Okay. Thank you for that.
So yeah, it's a little
additional detail.
inconvenient. You see the amount of invoices we have to write on.
I could imagine. Okay, thank you for that. Next up is the 2022 spring softball entry packet.
Yes, this is a packet for the softball. There have been only one change. The price for a sponsor has gone up $75, and that is to be able to pay for the umpires' raise. We found out that the umpires will not be able to be paid at the plate, and that is a reason that comes from the controller's office. So the entry packet is the same as prior years, only the amount for the sponsorship has increased $75.
Thank you, Ed. Any questions for the board?
Go ahead, Bill.
Ed, last year, I remember we talked about it, and everybody seemed to be happy with pay at the plate, but we can't do that because it's incorrect. Is that?
That's correct. I have an explanation here, if you'd like.
Mhm.
Reason for no longer doing pay at the plate. And this is from our administrative assistant who worked with our controller. The way the program was going to be set up this year was not appropriate through the State Board of Accounts and IRS. Some team sponsors were willing to pay the umpire fees up front, some were not. The ones that were not willing to pay up front, those team members were expected to come up with the funds to pay umpires. For accounting purposes with the IRS and State Board of Accounts, we were in the wrong paying some umpires through the park department and others receiving cash from team players, as they do not have to claim those funds. For the controller's office, we are to either have all the funds come through the park department or none except the program fee. There were issues with the teams paying umpires at the plate last season, so they were trying to change the fee structure on the program for this year. The program's fees structure will revert back to the original version of the park department, paying all umpires and only the fees coming in were the entry fees for adult softball. So that's the explanation that I got.
So we're just reverting back to what we did for
It
many,
did.
many years.
But apparently the sponsors are willing to pay the extra money.
Okay, thank you.
So each team increased 75, the men's, the co-ed, and the big bat?
Correct.
Thank you.
I just have one question here, and I'm showing my baseball ignorance. On page 4, and this is letter I, and I can just read it to you, but I just need an explanation.
Okay.
Each batter will come to the plate with an automatic 1-and-1 count.
Oh, yeah.
The 2 1/2 strike rule will be in effect. I just need I don't understand that.
You know, actually, Kent, I am not familiar with that rule either.
I just looked at that and kind of scratched my head and
Yeah,
Are we
I have
smart
no
enough
idea.
to figure it out?
I don't know. I was just wondering, so that maybe that's something that somebody who's,
Are you questioning the
there's
half?
the baseball coach is sitting right over
Right.
there.
I know.
Are you questioning the half strike? No, is that,
All of it.
or the whole thing?
Yeah, I mean, why do you come to the plate with an automatic 1-and-1?
Well, normally it would be, you have well, it couldn't be 7 pitches, but you could have the 4 balls and 2 strikes would be 6. What they're trying to do is quicken the game up,
That's what
shorten it up.
Okay,
And the half strike then would be a foul ball. The next foul ball, you're out.
oh, okay, all right, yeah. And
That's
that
where
would
the 2.5 comes
enhance
in.
the speed of the game. Okay.
And it does make a difference. I don't know why they don't start, just with the smaller numbers, but they have.
Yes.
I mean, it's kind of universal to come up with 1 ball and 1 strike already.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, Coach.
Something Major League Baseball should consider.
Yeah, right. Thank you.
And I read through that. I really think it's a good packet. I like the way you have written the rules and guidelines. I think they're very explicit. And I know, having participated in this for years and having been a spectator, some guys, they're not going to be on television in November for the World Series, but they take it that way. Very competitive. And there is, and I don't want to say oftentimes, but where fans get unruly and get on the umpire. And I know there's friends that play against each other, and sometimes it's just fun jostling, but it can get out of hand. So I think you spelled it out clearly what would cost them the game and even their chance to participate. So yeah, I hope they all understand it.
Well, thank you for commending me, but I must tell you, Mr. Krasinski is the one that tailored this towards our
Okay.
league. We should thank him. He did a very good job.
Thank
So,
you, Mr.
Well, you work
Krasinski.
with him, so.
Any other questions or comments? What's the pleasure of the board?
Well, I would move that we accept the 2022 spring softball entry packet as printed.
Second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
All right, next is the youth baseball play up, play down waiver.
Okay, this is a very interesting topic to me. I don't see that we've done this much in the past, so I researched this with a former city attorney, Pat Donahue, and found out that it was something in the past that once in a while would be considered, and actually there is precedence and people have played up or down. However, there was no waiver for parents to sign, so I came up with this waiver. I thought it would be a good idea. I've had 5 parents, groups of guardians call me already this season, where last year I had to upset them and disappoint them and tell them their kids could not play up or down. I researched history of kids playing up and down and found that it probably is a good idea to follow what the parents recommend as long as they sign this waiver. I have, like I said, 5 guardians right now, hoping that their kids can either play up or down. So I'm recommending to the board that we allow parents to request a play up or down. In some cases, the children will be, the little kids or athletes will be individually evaluated for me to be convinced that they should play up or down. And in some cases, it has a lot to do with the time of their birthday, which would be very significant in allowing them to play up or down.
Thank you, Ed. Any questions or comments?
Do you have any requests to play down?
I do.
Do you really? And I was just wondering about that. The same as going, I mean, it's just reversal for the reason of going, playing up the age group, the 9 months at that age makes a difference in sports. And I just wonder why or how is there any criteria for playing
In what
down?
instance? Well, I researched that, Phil, and found out that in the past, there is an anecdote where a child was very small and the parent or guardian wanted him to play down, and the league, which was another city, it wasn't our league, would not let the athlete play down. Well, as the season went on, he went up to bat and got seriously injured by a pitch. So there would be one instance where if you could possibly listen to the reasoning of the parent and allow them to make the request and maybe agree with them through this waiver, indemnifying the city, I think sometimes it's best. In another case, I have a parent who told me that she has two 12-year-olds, a boy and a girl, and they're twins. And the age group would be 13 down to 11. And they're 12, so they would be right in the middle of the age group. Now, the boy is too good to play down. He's a pretty good athlete. The girl is timid and frail, but she really wants her daughter to play. Now, if the girl is timid and frail and she's playing with 13-year-olds, I have a feeling that a 13-year-old can hit the ball pretty well. So in this case, I'll probably have to evaluate this person with my administrator. And if I find that she should be playing in a lower division, that would be a case where I would listen to the recommendation of the parent.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with that. I just wondered why. I don't know. I guess I'm thinking to play up. I know when I was 8, I was invited to play with 9 and 10-year-olds.
That's right. And
But I was
does
invited to do that. But we didn't have a down thing then.
help. Right.
Well, you know what else? There's a lot of kids that their parents hold them back. And so they may be like, say, my son's in 8th grade. So 8th graders now, there could be a 15-year-old, but he really should be, say, like in soccer, the U14, because he's not a high school level player at all. He's a beginner player actually in the 8th grade. So, that would be another case too, where kids start school the next year and then they kind of really fall into a different category.
That's right.
So yeah. And it's a one-time thing, right? Up or down once.
Right.
You can't switch every year.
Right.
Back
Well,
and forth.
You could look at each year individually because a player might improve.
Oh, I thought that's what this said. You can only do it once. Or was that once?
It's probably that this waiver is only good for this year.
Oh, you couldn't do it more than once within the year? Is that what you're saying?
Right.
Oh.
Where is that?
I thought I read that.
I remember something about that.
Well, I personally think it's a good idea. Your explanation about, and I've seen it happen where because you are 12 years old or 14 years old, you're that way because your birth certificate says you are, but physically, maybe you're a couple of years below that.
Right.
So, yeah, I think it's a good idea. Allows the kids to play without really being discouraged from participating in the game.
It's your second sentence. Request and any approval are for one playing season only. So,
Oh, okay. I suppose we would have to look at it again the following year.
yeah, okay. I remember that incorrectly. I thought it was like one time in their childhood, they could either go up or down and then you can't keep switching back and forth, so.
And while reading this, I only got the impression, and I've read it a few times, it only addresses playing up and the consequences of that and the waiver of that. Do we need to have language, or is there any
Well,
liability we need to address when playing down?
In the title, it says play down, but you're absolutely right. The first paragraph does say the ability to play up, doesn't it?
Throughout the whole
Yeah.
document.
Yeah.
Well, it wouldn't take much to change that.
A separate waiver? Okay. Okay. Good point, Phil. I just got advised we'll have a separate waiver for playing down.
It would be identical.
Mhm.
It would be the same form.
Okay.
That way.
Mhm.
And you said you have to evaluate the child who wants to do this?
Well, we don't, that's kind of up, oh, thank you. That's kind of up to the board if you'd like to make sure. In fact, I was gonna ask the board if you wanted to look at each individual case, or would you want me to evaluate the athlete?
Yeah, and I'm so sorry. I thought that's what you said you were gonna do.
Well, I am
I'm
going
not-
to in the case of this young girl, because she also wants to play on a team and won't play unless there is another girl. So she's fragile.
Yeah.
And in this case, I spoke with my assistant, Eric,
Mhm.
and we thought in this case, we should evaluate this girl and make sure that she, can play down without any problems.
Right. The only other thing that I thought of is parents. Sometimes parents are the ones who are really pushing their kids
They
to
are.
play. So if they're pushing their kid to play up and the kid doesn't really want to,
That's right.
or one way or the other, to maybe, if you are going to evaluate them, to maybe just ask that child that question. Do you
Yeah.
want to play up or do you want to play down? Or I don't know how you go about that if the parent's
No, you're
present or
exactly right.
it's just something, yeah. And what age group does this go up to? Through 14?
Up to
15?
16
Oh,
U.
16.
I mean, the whole league,
Oh, okay.
right, up to 16 U.
What?
If you don't mind. Be sure to note that it's subject to the approval of the park boards. Each one of these forms will be presented, right, at the bottom.
Mhm.
It's subject to approval by the park board. So after he approves it, it will then come here for final approval as it's written.
For each individual.
Yeah.
Okay. Mhm.
Each form, right? That's how it's written.
Okay, yep.
Oh, okay.
Ed, I commend you for trying to accommodate requests. And, and I'm not gonna, I rely on all baseball matters right here.
Yeah.
to my left, and,
I do too.
Or the,
Phil thinks that
or the shins. I mean,
and the shins, right.
Yeah.
legendary.
Let's give it a shot, right?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. And I think if it's really very obvious that someone's playing down to become a superstar, that
Mm.
the other coaches and the umpire would be a great source to say, hey, this is a mistake.
Yeah.
I really don't think that happened.
Right. Yeah, that's not fair.
But then again, I think it's a good idea. And then
I don't,
have it evaluated and see what happens.
and if it's a legal thing for it to pass all of us, that's fine, but I would certainly trust your judgment if the
Yes.
kid should play up or down. I don't feel the need to go
Yeah.
over every person, but I don't know. That's up to you guys.
I'll make you aware.
That's fine.
Well, if that is subject to whether it needs to be approved by the park board or not, we'll have to address that tonight. Because if we pass this as it is, it will need to be approved by the park board. Is there any reason why it would have to come before the board for any legality reasons, or can we leave it up to the superintendent to make the decision?
I think it would be safe to leave it up to the superintendent. When I first read this, Mr. Latchford, I thought it was just to keep everybody informed, primarily about the needs, to accommodate the needs of all of the residents, but also the numbers, right? Is this something that's going to happen frequently? And if so, do we need to reevaluate? That was the impression I got, but it was a form that was recycled, right?
Thank you. So maybe if the superintendent just informs us routinely and regularly when this happens.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions or comments?
No, I think that's a good suggestion. I feel Ed and Mr. Krasinski, they've been around the block a few times and they'd be pretty good judges to evaluate the skill level. So I would trust their decision.
Any questions or comments from the public? All right, I guess we would need a motion to create a play-up form, lay down form and to edit the last line of the sentence, allow the superintendent to make the decision.
Well, I'll make that motion that we have two separate forms. One indicating the individual who chooses to play up, the other who chooses to play down. And we would take the superintendent's recommendation instead of having to vote on it by a board.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Opposed? Motion carries.
All right. Moving on from baseball, we now have the Big Cat exhibit with the Haas and Associates proposal for engineering construction services.
So the board received Housing Associates proposal for a not to exceed of $49,500. Typically in a project this size, and especially with a kind of one of a kind construction project, we would hire a construction inspector to do the whole project for us. However, we don't have enough funding. So we met with Haas on several occasions. We kind of identified roles of who can do the inspection in-house. Ed would probably be our day-to-day. I can do most of the contract documents and pay certifications, things of that nature. However, because it is a unique project, we really need to have Haas under contract for questions we can't answer. So the contract outlines their responsibility, which is limited evaluations of the work. And again, if we get into a site inspection and we're uncomfortable about something with this type of project, you need to call an engineer, and we can't let it get to 90% completion to find that something in the structure was wrong and we start over. Request for information. A lot of those need to go to an engineer because the engineer is actually checking the shop drawings against their engineered drawings, and it can be out of our expertise to answer those questions. Contractor submittals, I just went over that. Pay request, the majority of those I will process in-house. There may be a few along the way where they're going to say that this is at 90% or 80%. And I don't feel comfortable with that because I'm not the engineer. I can't tell them. So minimum on that. Work completion at the end of the project, they'll do a walkthrough with the owners, which is us, and the contractor, and they will develop a punch list for the project to get it to final completion. And also on change orders, if there's any change orders that we're uncomfortable with, we can't really accept them ourselves. We'll call them in for a final review. Contractor coordination, the majority of that will be done by our internal staff, as well as scheduling meetings as necessary. So this is a really shaved down version of what I'm used to. Typically, like on trail projects, 12% is what it's going to cost you to have a construction engineer on site every day. NDOT requires that, this project doesn't. So we do have the funding. I'm a little nervous that we don't have a lot of contingency funds once we sign this. However, I'm pretty sure we'll be awarded the Barker Foundation grant, so that's an additional $50,000. And then Jamie just mentioned it to me, in August of this year, we'll receive our $100,000 endowment. So that's kind of our plan B.
Yes, yeah.
You know, the endowment is earmarked for other projects, but we really need to get this one done.
Thank you, Shannon.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments?
My only one was that that's what I was worried about, Shannon, if there are cost overruns that invariably do happen, that there would be a backup to take care of that. So thank you very much for explaining that.
You're welcome.
I have a question. The contractor is obviously not Haas, they're the engineer. And I noticed in here Haas is really hands off on certain things as far as we're not responsible for that, we're not responsible for that. And I get that. They're overseeing what the contractor is doing in accordance with their plans. They're responsible for that, right? So if that doesn't happen, if they come by one day and the whole day is messed up and who does the contractor absorb that? And then they have a separate contract that says that?
So if the board approves this proposal, there'll be another contractual agreement with Haas that lays all that out,
Oh.
who's responsible for what.
Okay.
If the contractor builds away from the specifications that they were bidding on,
Mhm.
they are 100%
Okay.
responsible.
Mhm.
However, as an owner, you don't want to delay, drive up costs.
Mhm.
So that's why it's so important to have someone knowledgeable saying,
Right.
Yeah.
okay, building block 1 looks good,
Yeah.
let's go to building block 2,
Right.
and not get to 10.
Yeah.
And decide 1 was done wrong, and then,
Right.
especially with this project, because it's in the middle of the zoo.
Yeah.
So it's gonna affect everything, scheduling, visitors,
Yeah.
animal welfare. I mean,
Yeah.
it's gonna be a tough one to manage.
Right. No, I think this is great that there's going to be oversight with them. And I think it said here it was like 2 hours a day they'd be by, just enough to.
On certain days, so.
Yeah.
I appreciate how's working with us. They know how tight this budget is, but they really want to see this project done.
Mhm.
So they've, promised us that they're gonna try to keep this to the lowest dollar amount that they can to make it successful. So a lot of it's gonna be on our staff, but we don't need you this week because nothing's really going on.
Yeah. Mhm.
So, Ed will keep the
Mhm.
engineer owner's ledger. I'll handle all the paperwork.
Mhm.
And it's just calling as needed,
Yeah.
as few hours as possible.
Oh, you call them as needed. They don't
We'll
just
call
show
them
up.
as needed, correct.
Oh, okay.
So like I said, if Ed gets in one day and they're working on an item and he's like looking at the drawings and he's
Yeah.
looking at the shop drawings and submittals and he's like, this doesn't add up for me,
Yeah.
then he would call housing.
I thought they said they'd come by like 2 hours every day. Did I read that wrong? That they would kind of be overseeing it really like on a daily sort of basis. And then some days they may not be there. I'm sorry, did I read that wrong?
Which
I don't know, I'd have to.
Yeah, it's on page 2. Engineer regular visits will be limited to a maximum of 2 hours per trip, maybe? Less than 2 hours.
Well,
Where's that?
regular site.
Yeah,
visit.
2 hours per week, that's what they
Oh, per week.
bid on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
But does that mean they'll be on site at least once a week?
if we call them in.
Only
So they
if you
had-
call
Yeah,
them.
they had to estimate how many times we're gonna want them there to give us an estimate.
I see.
But the contract's not gonna say that.
Yeah.
The contract is when we call them in.
Oh.
I would imagine there's gonna be a period of the project when it gets kind of in the middle of it, that it's going to have to be every week.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And maybe sometimes a couple of days a week.
Right,
So
got it.
again, this is gonna be hard to manage. Normally, we would just sign a contract and they do everything.
Mm-hmm.
They're the owner's representative, and I feel you're familiar with most of our big projects have always worked that way.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm a little nervous that we need to really run a tight ship on managing most of this ourselves.
Wow. That's a lot of work for you guys.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
It's an enormous amount of work.
Wow.
And we have Jamie too. I mean, that's great because it's in the zoo, so we've got eyes on the project all the time with our staff. It's not
Right.
like we're going out to like a trail that's remote.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? Any questions or comments from the public? Right, seeing none, what's the pleasure of the board?
I would move that we accept the Haas and Associates proposal for construction inspections services for the Zoo Big Cat exhibit.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
All right, now we have a new proposal for the maintenance agreement.
This is interesting.
Yeah.
And it's contemplating working 10-hour shifts for the summer.
That's correct. That would,
That's correct. This is a one-year trial of giving our workers a little bit of time off rather than working 20 days in a row in between Memorial Day and Labor Day. This test will give workers 10-hour workdays, but give them assurance that they will have 1 day off per week. As you can see from the schedules on the back, the calendar schedules for June, you'll see a comparison where without any days off, working 8 hours a day, with they work 92 hours. And here with working 10 hours on certain days, 10 hours on these days, they will also be working 92 hours with 2 days off per pay period. So Mr. Volz and I came to the conclusion that this would be a good idea. There have been times when I would be out at the parks and maybe need some workers after 2:30, which their usual time frame was 6 to 2:30. This will also give workers and everyone the ability to have someone on staff until 4:30. So that's another reason I think this is a good idea. But the main reason is that these workers were working 20 plus days without a day off and no day off in the future that they knew of. So in this case, they will know that they're going to have this time off and will probably increase morale.
Thank you, Ed. Any questions or comments?
Did I read it or just thinking this, that the employees themselves are behind this 10-hour day?
Let's see, Mr. Volz, can I defer that to you as far as the ability to have told the staff?
For the trial. Okay, so the way we were preparing to do this, this is going to be a trial basis, and the crews that will participate in this will all be voluntary. So we might have 1 or 2 crews that stick with the 8-hour, 5-day a week, but I know for sure we have at least 2 of the crews that want to try the 10 hours, and then we'll see how that goes.
So there won't be any members of an 8-hour crew and a 10-hour crew working on the same crew?
Well, that generally doesn't happen now, if I understand you correctly. And again, with the crews that will take the days off, those they will not share the same day off.
How is overtime calculated? Is it after 8 hours or is it after 40?
After 40.
Thank you.
And then that also varies if there's a holiday.
Any other questions or comments?
I just think that working 20 days in a row and being able to switch to something like this, even though that's an experiment, I think that that's definitely an advantage for increasing the morale. So I'm interested to hear how it goes.
Yeah, me too. Mhm.
Again, same comments, trying to solve a problem with limited staff and unmotivated staff this will help. And again, just bringing a unique way to try to solve a problem instead of just doing the same old thing over and over. So kudos to you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. There are no other questions or comments. Do we have a motion to approve the revised maintenance department schedule?
I so move that we approve the revised maintenance department schedule for this 1 year to see how everything goes.
Second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Good luck. All right, we have item H on the agenda tonight is a local hiring ordinance.
Yes, thank you. I apologize. This was on your agenda late. I had sent it off to the Human Rights Department with the assumption that Board of Works approved these because it's a city agreement, not a park board agreement. However, they sent it back saying they would like the park board to approve it. What it is for projects, construction projects of $150,000 or more. The contractor needs to meet our resident hiring quota of 50% of the total hourly wages paid for the project for construction work at the construction site. Holiday Construction did sign this and submitted it with their bid packet. But now we need the board to approve it as well.
Thank you, Shannon. Any questions or comments?
What was in place before this, or is this a change from something, or?
No, I think the local hiring ordinance has been on the books since 2014 or 15.
Mhm.
At one point, it was projects 200,000 and over, and then it changed to 150.
Mhm.
It can be difficult to comply with this at times. It'll drive your cost up if you don't have qualified
Right.
laborers in, electricians, plumbing, things like that.
Yeah.
But it's city policy and there's no way around it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Any other questions or comments? None, do I have a motion to approve?
I would move we approve the Michigan City local hiring agreement. Do I have to include the cost?
No.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Opposed? Motion carries.
All right, one other item on the agenda, item I, it's the Easter egg hunt.
What was that, Phil?
Item I on the agenda is the Easter egg hunt.
Oh,
It
yes.
came,
Sorry.
it's got documents here somewhere. We also have Mr. Greetham here, if he could help explain it.
Good
Hello,
evening.
welcome.
Terry Greetham, Director of Special Events for the City of Michigan City. We're here to request use of Washington Park and Fetters Alley for the Michigan City Easter egg hunt to be held on April 16th of 2022. This is an event that has been held for many, many years, and unfortunately, due to the pandemic over the last couple of years, obviously couldn't have it. It was an event that for many years was sponsored and executed by the Michigan City Police Department. But just like most departments, they are facing staffing issues. So Chief Campbell reached out to me to see if this was something that the Special Events Department could take on. And unfortunately, by myself, I'm not able to execute this event. But what we did was we kind of pulled together a group of departments, the police department, the fire department, park and recreations department, special events, and Michigan City Emergency Management Group to all come together to try and execute this event. It's a great event for the youth in our community. It's great community outreach. Again, the event would be held in Washington Park, specifically Fetters Alley, on Saturday, April 16th. Event setup would start at 8:45 in the morning, go till about 11, and then we would technically open the gates to allow people to start gathering at 11 to noon. We'd have some different activities going on. And then the event launch, or for lack of a better term, the egg scramble, will start at noon. And from what I understand and from what I've heard, that lasts about 3 minutes. And then we start the cleanup. In addition to that, we're requesting use of the Michigan City Senior Center on Wednesday, April 13th, and then Thursday, the 14th, if needed, to actually bring in volunteers and start stuffing the eggs. The target is approximately 30,000 plastic eggs full of candy. The age groups will be broken up. Lane 1 will be ages 0 to 3, which will also allow parents with strollers or with the small children. Lane 2 will be ages 4 through 6. Lane 3 will be ages 7 to 10. And then lane 4 will be ages 11 to 12. And Ed wanted to be a part of it, so he's going to be in lane 4. Again, it's a great event. It's coming a little bit late, and we apologize for that. It was just a matter of getting enough people together to be able to launch this. And the hope is that we can put this back on the calendar, have it every year. The weather plan, it will be run rain or shine. If the weather is too bad, the event will just be canceled.
Questions or comments?
As a senior citizen, I want to play down.
Very good.
We'll put you in lane 3 with the 7 to 10-year-olds.
I'm not sure I can compete with that.
You'll need a waiver sign though.
Need a waiver.
A waiver, yes.
This is great. I think it's a good idea. I know the kids in the past have really enjoyed it. So have many of the parents just watching their kids.
Yeah, again, it's an event that needs to be on the calendar, and just with how many events we've put on the calendar so far, it's going to take a group effort, and I really appreciate police, fire, park department, emergency management all coming together to make this happen. And hopefully moving forward, these are the types of events that we can even get more departments involved with, because I think this is really, these type of events should be citywide events.
Yeah, thanks so much for mentioning that, especially it's easy when we're all taxed beyond what we think we can do to, it's easy to say no, but to help bring everyone together and organize the event. Thank you and commend everyone who stepped up to do it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions or comments? If not, do we have a motion to approve the citywide community Easter egg hunt?
I so move that we approve the Easter egg hunt for this year, April the 16th, 2022 in Fetters Alley.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank
Good
you.
luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Any other new business tonight, Shannon?
No, sir.
Thank you, and moves on to the superintendent's report. Ed?
Thank you, Mr. Lashley. You're welcome. This evening, I will report on Wolves Soccer Club, Senior Center, golf, park maintenance, and youth baseball. The Senior Center Board voted to go ahead with the Trash and Treasure Day on March 26th. There was a little discussion on whether or not the seniors would want the general public walking in, but with the COVID positivity rates down, they've decided so far that they would like to hold their Trash and Treasure. Regarding inclement weather, the Senior Center Board, in response to my request to inform me as how they would want to handle closings due to inclement weather. And as tenants, they replied they voted to follow only state of emergency closures, snow days called by the mayor, which is highly unlikely now that we have work from home policies. Or in the event, or in the event of the fact that the parking lot cannot be cleared. At times, our park maintenance is not able to clear the senior center due to having to help the streets with the roads that need to be cleared in emergencies for emergency vehicles. So the decision also includes the senior center will not follow the closures due to school closings. Schools close frequently now with e-learning. These decisions by the Senior Center Board do not conflict with any park policy. Also at the Senior Center, Wayne Heating came out to fix, without an appointment, came out to repair a cooler that contained all of the St. Patrick's Day food. So thank you, Wayne Heating, for coming out on such short notice. Also, a senior reported to our Senior Center director, Miss Miller, that he had found some timber on the shoreline that resembled a shipwreck fragment. So I have pictures of that on the screen. That is a picture of a frame of possibly a shipwreck from many years ago. And if you want to go to the next frame, there it is. Those square-headed nails indicate that it has age to it, and we've found that so nobody would take that off the shoreline. We had our maintenance crew come out and bring that to the museum, the Old Lighthouse Museum, and they will contact the authorities to find out exactly what that is, if it's possibly a shipwrecked fragment. It is. Also, I'm very happy that you approved the Easter egg hunt, because as I was coordinating the seniors to stuff the eggs, they are very excited about stuffing the eggs for the for the Easter egg hunt.
And full face.
So, and for golf, today marks the opening day for the South Golf Course, starting at 9 o'clock this morning and for the rest of the week, and will be open till dark, till further notice. Actually, further notice means in the future the golf course will start much earlier. Remarkably, the course had 95 golfers by 4:30 today.
That's awesome.
Looking forward to a great season at the Michigan City Municipal Golf Course. Park Maintenance Department, crews have begun the spring cleanup at the parks, the continuous task of sand removal at Washington Park. But in the last few days, they have also focused on the breakdown and transporting and storage of the holiday lights and displays. Seasonal staff will soon start and be added to the crews. In the next few days, we'll have seasonals. The park maintenance staff have been operating very efficiently, as well as other departments here in Michigan City. And we're all looking forward to a very productive spring season. Youth baseball. Youth baseball signups are up from last year. We have now 213 signups at this time of year. Last year, we had 180. As far as sponsors go, last year we had 11 sponsors at this time, and so far this year we have 12. And I would like to state a big thank you to Sally, Melissa, Carrie, and Eric for their work with youth baseball to help me. Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Ed. Any questions or comments for the superintendent? Okay, any vandalism to report?
No vandalism that I can recall, Pat? Nope.
Thank you. All right.
Yeah.
Plan Commission liaison, there has not been a meeting since our last meeting. Port Authority liaison, Mr. Freeze.
There was a meeting 2 weeks ago, but there wasn't anything for us.
Thank you. And the Zoological Society, Mr. Lang.
Yes, the Zoological Society met March the 8th, 2022, and unanimously approved the MOU with the Park Board. They also elected officers for the coming year, and the president is John Stimley, the vice president, Rich Warner, the secretary is Brittany Burns, and treasurer is Cindy Schoof. They also discussed Brew at the Zoo, which is scheduled for June the 10th, which is a Friday from 5 to 7:30 with a capacity of 300. And I would imagine we'll have to discuss things with Jamie because we don't know exactly when construction is going to begin and exactly how many areas. I think Jamie probably has a plan as to what is going to be cordoned off so that people that are attending are not in an area that is dangerous because of the construction that's going on. They also are working on the July 10th zoo run and the December 10th polar plunge and chili cook-off. So in a nutshell, that is what is going on with the Zoo Society.
Thank you, Mr. Lang. And next up, attorney's report, Ms.
I
Nuremberg.
don't have anything to report.
Thank you. Any director's reports tonight?
No, sir.
All right, we'll move on to department finances. Back to you.
Already.
Mr. Lang.
Michigan City Park Department claims docket for March the 16th, 2022. Municipal, $73,849.41. Golf, petty cash, nothing at this time. Zoo endowment, nothing at this time. Bringing total claims for March the 16th, 2022, $73,849.41. And I so move that we approve the claims docket for March 16th.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Payroll number 4 with a pay date of February the 25th, 2022. A total payroll of $51,521.97. And I so move that we accept payroll number 4 for $51,521.97.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Payroll number 5 with a pay date of March the 11th, 2022. Total payroll of $53,439.91. I so move that we approve payroll number 5, again for $53,439.91.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Under reports of gifts and donations, Current Electric, a donation, youth baseball sponsorship, $350. Cable and Ace Hardware, again, youth baseball team sponsorship, $350. Diane's Landscaping, youth baseball team sponsorship, $350. Moore's Auto Repair, youth baseball team sponsorship, $350. Leeds Public House, youth baseball team sponsorship, $350. The Parlor, youth baseball team sponsorship, $350. Fox Photography, youth baseball team sponsorship, $350. Triplex Plating, youth baseball team sponsorship, $350. And again, I so move that we accept these gifts and donations.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Under minor transfers, there are none at this time. Zoo endowment, none at this time. Under Board of Works, invoices totaling $42,900 were paid at the March 7th, 2022 Board of Works meeting. This was to Frontier Lawn for the purchase of a John Deere tractor, $42,900. I so move that we recognize the Board of Works invoice of $42,900.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Under credit card charges totaling $204.63 were paid to Amazon.com maintenance garage door openers, $21.60. Amazon.com maintenance garage door opener, $87.99. Signs.com passport to play signs, $95.04. I so move that we accept the credit card charges totaling $204.63.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And that includes the financial report for this year.
Thank you, Mr. Lang.
You are welcome.
Any comments from the public tonight? Seeing none, any comments from the board? All right, seeing none, our next park board meeting is Wednesday, April 6th, 5 o'clock right here. We have a motion to adjourn.
So move.